Macronutrients play a vital role in weight management and body composition, and both macronutrients and micronutrients are one of the biggest contributing factors to our overall health. Let's talk about them. So to get started, where are we all at in our journey? Well, first we learned what the heck we are actually supposed to be eating and how much of it. We then got an idea about how to manipulate to attain specific goals. Now we are learning about how to make it work and what to eat. So what are they? Well, macros or macronutrients are nutrient groups that our body needs in large amounts. These are where our calories are sourced from. Again, a reminder, 1 gram of carbohydrates, 4 calories. 1 gram of protein, 4 calories. 1 gram of fat, 9 calories. They are the 3 macronutrients. There's also a fourth, which is alcohol, but we don't like to focus on it because it doesn't offer much in terms of nutritional value. I'm not saying never drink again, I'm just saying we're not going to focus too much on regulating your intake of alcohol. You can do that yourself. So most food and beverages are made up of a combination of the 3 macronutrients. But many foods lean heavily towards one dominant macronutrient that provides the majority of the calories. A couple of quick examples. Bread. Most of the calories from bread come from carbohydrates. So if you're eating bread, you're getting most of your energy from a carbohydrate source. Something like chicken has most of its calories coming from protein, and something like butter, where most of the calories that you get from butter are coming from grams of fat. So tracking macros and tracking calories are virtually one and the same. So here's a quick snapshot of what each macronutrient does and what its role is. Protein is needed to gain muscle. An easy one to figure out and an easy one to get right. Proteins break down into amino acids, which can affect our muscle composition. They're also involved in creating mood-regulating neurotransmitters, which is not super entertaining. But most importantly, they aid in recovery from sessions. Carbs, everyone's favorite one, mine included. Carbohydrates are needed for mental and physical energy. They break down into sugars, which give us energy for immediate use and are also stored for further use. The body's most readily available fuel source comes from carbs, both high GI and low GI carbs. The main difference between the two being the rate in which you receive the energy from the carbs is the most simplest way I can put it. For example, something like a lolly is a high GI food where you get that energy hit straight away, and something like brown rice will take a while to feel the effects but will fuel you for longer and is a bit more of a cleaner energy source. Last but not least, fat. Fat is needed to maintain proper hormone function as well as regulate some important health markers. They break down into fatty acids, which help form certain structures in our body, ones that have to do with our brain, nervous system, cell walls, and a bunch of other stuff that you guys probably aren't that interested in. But it's important. Okay, so getting the macro breakdown right is important in terms of where we're sourcing our calories from, okay? Calories all come from somewhere, one of these 3, and getting the balance right is going to have effects on both our training and our results. So what is the perfect macro split? Well, for most people, 15 to 35% of their total daily calories coming from protein seems to be about right. Between 40 and 60% coming from carbohydrates, and the rest coming from fat seems to work for most people. But everybody is very different. What I would recommend, get your protein right, make sure you're getting enough protein to aid in your recovery and maintain your lean muscle mass. And the carbohydrates and fats can be manipulated depending on what types of food you like. That is something you can personalize to make your nutrition plan more sustainable long term. My advice to you guys would be, don't completely cut out any of the main food groups. The reason is, as I just said, all of these food groups play an important role in our body's health and longevity, and completely cutting one out as a method of limiting your calories is a very inconvenient and dangerous way of getting to the same result. My second piece of advice would be, take note of how your body feels. A lot of this process is going to be self-reflective. If you are eating right at the top limit of the normal amount of carbohydrates and still getting your protein in, and your fat is relatively low, but you're feeling amazing in the gym and your workouts are feeling great, well then perhaps that is what works for you. But for the next person, it might be the complete opposite. Listen to your body, it'll tell you a story. Micronutrients. Okay, so I would assume I'm not telling you guys anything groundbreaking here, but vitamins and minerals are good for you. I know, crazy. So what are they? Well, the World Health Organization defines micronutrients as vitamins and minerals needed by the body in very small amounts. However, their impact on the body's health are critical. Deficiency in any of them can cause severe effects and even life-threatening conditions, okay? So clearly, very important to make sure your micronutrient intake is on point. So micronutrients can be divided into 4 main groups: water-soluble vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins, microminerals, and trace minerals. It's a mouthful. Most vitamins are water-soluble. For example, vitamin C, required for neurotransmitter activity, vitamin B12, which is vital for red blood cell formation, and multiple others. Okay, fat-soluble vitamins include vitamin A, that plays an impact in your vision and your organ function. Vitamin D, which plays a role in immune function. When they talk about macrominerals, they're talking about micronutrients that the body requires in larger amounts that perform specific roles in the body. These are the ones you know about and likely have heard or are even supplementing. For example, magnesium, super important for all gym people, anyone into fitness. Calcium, which has an impact on bones and teeth, as you guys would know. Okay, sodium, which regulates blood pressure and fluid balance in the body, which is really important for your general health. Potassium, phosphorus, etc., etc. And lastly, trace minerals, okay? They're the exact opposite of macrominerals. An example of these would be like iron, zinc, fluoride, etc. Just note that these aren't all of the micronutrients we need. I just didn't want to talk all day about micronutrients and put you guys to sleep, even though sleep is an important part of recovery, but that's not our goal today. They are a snapshot of the important microminerals and a reason that they are so important to our body's general health. Less important to your weight management, but if you're crafting a long-term sustainable nutrition plan, micronutrients need to be considered. So I know what you guys are thinking. You've figured out your macronutrient breakdown. You know what you want your body composition to look like and what you like to eat more of. And you've started to figure out how to implement that in your daily calorie intake. But a lot of you might be thinking, if only there was a place that I could get micronutrients from that I could supplement my diet with. Well, we have partnered with Pillar Performance. In this week's email package, you will receive a discount code with a bunch of crazy offers that you'd be silly not to take them up on. It's a good deal. All jokes aside, Pillar Performance is actually a great source of really clean micronutrients. They have a great range and they're all really high quality. It's definitely worth checking out. If you feel like you might be deficient in a micronutrient or you're feeling a bit off, it's worth going to your GP for a blood test, okay? They can identify these things if you're open and honest about how you're feeling, and they can be addressed with like a registered dietitian or even things you can do at home that your GP will recommend. Alrighty guys, so you've already figured out your TDEE, your BMR. Last week you figured out what phase you were looking to go into. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and you guys are going to figure out your macro breakdown. Again, my advice, figure out your protein requirements so you can recover from your gym sessions and maintain your lean body mass, and then make the rest of your calorie component up from carbs and fats that suit you more. Refer back to your book from last week, okay? Because that has recipes in it that have macro breakdowns and the calories are clearly identified. The biggest challenge for you guys is going to be getting organized enough to get close to your macro targets. You do not need to hit your macros to the T every single day. But remember, calories come from macros. So the closer that you can be to your macro targets, the closer your calorie target will be, the more well-rounded and on point your nutritional profile is. My biggest tip for you guys would be meal prepping. If not meal prepping, meal organization. So when I get up in the morning, I usually have a carb-heavy breakfast. Gives me a quick energy source. I feel amazing after I've had carbs and they really help my training sessions. So I might have something like oats, banana, and honey in the morning, a massive hit of carbs. I know at that point that I need to get some fat into me for the rest of the day. So I'll usually have fish for lunch or something of the sort. And then my dinner is usually organized around what the rest of my day looks like. My macros are usually pretty on point with a little bit of leeway either way. And every day my calories stick to my targets. That way you can get results week on week, long term, without hitting these speed bumps. These are variables that you guys can control, and we'd really like you to apply the knowledge you have to control as many as you can to optimize your results. Alrighty guys, that wraps up this week's module. We'll see you next week with module number 5, which is focused on supplements and hydration, okay? Something we get commonly asked about. Do your homework for this week, try and get organized for next week to give yourself the best shot at success around getting close to your macronutrient targets. See you next week.